Hello friends, family, brothers and sisters. This is my first video and I'm just making some videos to say some things that I feel that deserve to be heard. You see, in this world, trauma is everywhere. We live around trauma. Even being happy is a type of trauma. For example, everyone has this fear in their brain when something's too good, something's getting too perfect. There's always that fear of something bad happening next. And I just wanted to talk about some experiences that I feel are shared with a lot of humanity. So what I'm intending to do is make different videos based on different subjects. You can feel free to comment on what videos you actually think I'll be good at talking about based on what you see, obviously. So in this particular video, I'm just going to talk about everything, most of the things concluded, and trauma, what I think leads to it, how a person acts after it. Because I'm not necessarily saying I've been through all the worst things in the world, but a lot of people have been, and a lot of stories can relate. And sometimes, there's always that question in your head, or that voice, or that particular thing that goes on in your brain, and you think, is that normal? Am I the only one that thinks this? Do other people go through this? Because being a child that suffered from mental health problems from young, being undiagnosed and not having British parents or parents that understood English in Britain, growing up as a refugee slash immigrant, and having the sense of not belonging, it can have a really heavy mental load and impact on your brain, and the way you're brought up, and the way you feel that you fit in. Like, let's start off with childhood actually. Even if you're not an immigrant or a refugee, or you had that sense of belonging in the land that you're in, there's always something that tortures you from childhood. Even though if you had the perfect childhood, and it's not necessarily always your parents' fault. It may be, but in certain people's cases, it's always that having that silent battle with yourself, not knowing whether you belong, not knowing whether some things you're right, but some things that you wondered about, some things that you thought, do I deserve this? Is what every human basically probably deserved. Humanely, you deserved what you think you didn't know about. And just because of having that sense of unbelonging or being not wanted, it made you feel less human. And let me make clear that all trauma is not necessarily something that's happened to you physically. It could be the unpresence of something or the presence of something, and that presence doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It can be mental. And if you think about it, a lot of things have the opposite of some things that, how do I put it, some things that are the problem for someone, the opposite of that thing is the problem for another. Vice versa, a solution that's for one person, the opposite of, let's make it like this. Feeling abandoned, not being able to fit in, not being wanted is one sort of mental torture. Even though yet you might explain to someone that it's not necessary, but as a kid, as a child growing up, functioning, wanting to be involved, that is traumatic. Yet again, being in the spotlight, being told that you have to do this because you're the main character, having to do everything perfectly because you feel that it's a part of your reputation, such a young age, having that sort of mental responsibility. Two total opposites, yet they're a torture for one another. That person probably craves sanity, a sense of peace from the other child. Not from the other child, that the other child may have, but that child that feels lonely and abandoned may crave that sense of attention that, let's put it child 1 and 2. So child 1 that is getting the attention, too much attention, and child 2 that's getting not enough attention. That is a sense of trauma in itself. Yet again, growing up, thinking, learning new things, maybe learning things before your age. Sorry, I'm just, when you talk about certain things and you have flashbacks, memories, and I might go off topic in some things, but I guess it's just the way I speak, because you see my brain, it's here, then I think about something else, then I go off topic, but I try to come back to it. Because I'm not necessarily saying I'm a professional speaker, a scientist, a doctor, a psychiatrist. Yes, I have studied psychology, but yeah. Anyways. As I was saying, alright, that's one sort of trauma I described because I was thinking about childhood race. Everyone has their own set of trauma, and some people have broken families, some people... I'm just naturally talking through experience because I feel some people relate to things that I've been through. Yeah, I'm not invalidating anyone else's experiences. If you want me to talk about that, feel free to comment and I'll tell you what I think of it, or whether I've been through it or what. Yet again, so I didn't know what therapy was. I didn't know what mental health disorders was. I didn't know what's wrong with me. I had, alright, let's put it as this: OCD, anxiety. Let's be clear, OCD is not just obsessive cleaning. Obsessive compulsive disorder is just following compulsions that are not necessary, but you feel you have to do, otherwise something's going to go wrong. For instance, I'm smacking my hand on this table about, it's been 6 times, 1 2 3 4 5 6, blah blah blah. Now I have this sense of heat on this hand. Now I feel the need to do it on this one, just because I've done it on this one. It's a sense of balance. For instance, if I'm walking through the door and I bang the right side of my arm, I'm going to want to do a reverse and bang the left side. So it's stupidity. Actually, sorry, my bad. No, it's not stupidity. To others, it may come across as stupidity, but to the individual suffering from it, it's a sense of feeling controlled by an outside source, but the source is within your own body. And is the only way that I learned in therapy to beat those compulsions is to not do them. But that triggers a high load of anxiety and not knowing what to do. Yet again, as you can see, if I rub this hand, I feel the need to do this. But to fight it, if I rub this hand and I feel the need to do this one, I need to ignore it. But yet again, I'm going to start shaking, thinking I need to touch this hand, whatever not. But the more you feed a compulsion, the more you feed a habit, the more it will grow. You can't beat it. So other than ignoring it, which is not always possible, because every person has a different level of the disorder affecting them. I thought there was something wrong with me, but then I thought, no, maybe this goes on in everybody's brain. I always had discussions with myself and thought everything that I think is normal and everyone goes through it, but I never had the courage to say it out loud, just in case. Like, anxiety overwhelms me. For instance, for someone that may not have a child that's grown up in a secure attachment style, that will be a topic for another video, my bad. For someone to grow up thinking there's something wrong with them but never having the courage to say it out loud, you develop a character within yourself that is so hidden. You know how they say there's 3 faces, one for the public, one for your friends and family, one for yourself. I felt I had 4, because even the ones that I had for myself didn't feel like myself. There was something really deep. I felt like there was someone in me that I was hiding from myself, which is not necessarily possible. But yeah, all I want to say It's okay not to be okay, because that makes you, being not okay and trying to cope and trying to go forward and trying to better yourself. Yes, it's hard and it's exhausting and it's tiring, and you want to stop and you want to just lay down and do nothing. I think I just basically describe depression. Yes, it's hard, but some things you want to do that you can't do, and you basically fight a war to do it. For instance, get up and wash your hands, wash the dishes, cook yourself a hot meal. Something that might be just so easy for someone, but it's a challenge for you. It makes you feel less of a human and makes you feel that you're worth something less when you're not. You're not. I promise you, you're not. You're important. And I'm not saying this just to sugarcoat things and say every one of you is important. Every one of your thoughts, your triggers, your health problems, your wanting to do something, your courage, it matters. And one thing I just want to get across just before I forget it: never, ever, ever, ever ignore your gut instinct. If you feel something is wrong, it's wrong, yes, but you do something about it. Stay alert, hyper vigilant. Going off topic again, but yes, if you're one of those people that before stepping out, when you're in the outside world or wherever you are, you're always alert, hyper vigilant, thinking something bad's gonna happen, looking around. I know, I promise you, I know. It's hard and it's exhausting, and you think it's because it's keeping you safe. Sometimes you do it when you don't even have to, but you don't know anything better because you're so used to trauma and sudden accidents. I'm not talking about, actually I'm talking about, yeah, I am talking about all sorts of accidents. Anything. It could be someone bumping into you, conflict, you getting defensive. It could be someone trying to rob you. It could be you walking and thinking, I might get hit by a car. It's you thinking, when I step out of my house, every possible bad thing may happen to me, and I need to be alert and hyper vigilant every second for it not to happen or for me to defend myself. And it's tiring and it's hard because your eyes start to hurt, your head starts to feel heavy, you feel like you can't breathe properly. But it's not your fault because you don't know anything better. That's the only way you've survived. And every time you have been through something traumatic, it was because you were hyper vigilant in that moment, or it happened because you weren't aware, you weren't looking around, you weren't looking out for yourself, you weren't your own bodyguard. And it's painful thinking you only have to fend for yourself, feeling lonely even though you're in a room with people that love you and care about you and want to help you, but you always just in your own world thinking, who am I, where do I belong, what do I do? But I'm not gonna lie, I am Muslim and I believe in my Lord Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I believe in him, and it's the only thing that's kept me away from, let's say, from wanting to end my life. And I think, no, I'm not saying I'm suicidal, but yes, I have thought about it. I have thought what happens next, whatever not. And I'm saying, yes, I believe in the life after, but I believe you shouldn't end the one that you're currently given. Even though things are bad, just when things are really down and you feel like it can't go below that, there's only up from there. I know it's hard, and I know sometimes it's easier said than done. Thing is, I will never judge someone. I will never make them feel stupid for what they're feeling and how they're feeling, and for what they know, what they don't know. But what I will tell you, that doesn't mean that you're not worth anything. That doesn't mean, like, no one's perfect. Like, I don't understand someone that thinks they're better than someone just for something they have. No, because we were all nothing once. I can never Yes, I've been rude to people. Yes, I've maybe had fights. Yes, I've done things. But to defend myself, I can never go out my way to make someone feel miserable or hurt or worthless for no reason. How can you feel better after that? I feel sometimes, like, off topic again. I was on an Insta post once. For an example, I'm a mother, yeah. And yes, mothers don't have the most beautiful belly after giving birth. And alright, some people may believe that you shouldn't share it at all. You should. I'm not for or against that. That's totally the individual's choice. That's for another topic. But I saw an Insta post of a mother showing her post-pregnancy belly, which in some people's eyes may not be the most attractive. And especially, let me be more specific, in some males. I was reading the comments, and it was really uncomforting and very what's the word? Was it uncomforting? Uncomfortable, maybe. It was very, very, to hear some men talk about women like that, saying, and I read a comment where it said, a woman said, your mother should be ashamed of you, and a male commented, how can you, something, I don't know, something about the mother's belly, how can you not see that beef jerky belly? Yeah, alright, it may not be attractive, but for a person to view, out of the beautiful process of a human coming out, a woman through her uterus, and her spending 9 months through all that pain, anxiety, and actually walking through death to give birth to a human, you're only noticing that her belly is not so attractive anymore. There's actually something wrong in the human brain. For you to ignore the whole process and think that ignoring the beautiful process, the beautiful concept of a human coming out through a woman who's nurtured and nourished through her bones, actually fed through her bones, and went through all that pain, and now the attention's on her ugly belly. And yet again, some men, okay, you may not have that attachment with your mothers, but your mothers went through the same process, and they have those same marks on their belly. So are you ignoring the fact that your mother went through the same process to birth you? Otherwise it would have not been possible. That's another source of trauma, motherhood. I'll come to that in another level. You know, one thing I'm going to tell you about my videos, everything is just in everything. I'm going to be talking about so many things, and you're going to think it's off topic, but I'm talking about one thing: trauma. What is this? Sorry, it's probably like banana or something. Okay. As I was saying, trauma, it disturbs the human mind. It disturbs the way you think. Post-traumatic, it does mostly lead to mild or severe. It leads to post-traumatic stress disorder. That means, for instance, even me talking about certain scenarios, certain things, as I'm pausing, I picture what happened, where it happened, and it just flashes through my brain, and sometimes it paralyzes you. But this is what I want to tell everyone: fight. And I'm not saying physically, you don't have to fight physically. Fight. When something tells you you can't, you tell it you can. Because you can. I promise you, when things get so tough, and you fight and you go through it, you become so strong. So strong. Something in your heart. Yes, the pain is always there. Yes, you always, but when you fight it, there's this new sort of resilience, this new sort of power that emerges out of you, and you just think, wow, you don't admire anyone more than yourself, which should be so normal. Facing hardships is a part of life. I believe in my religion, from my Lord Allah, I believe He does not burden a soul beyond it can bear. And I feel that I have done some wrong things in life. I don't feel my Lord is unjust. Everything that, I'm not saying I deserved it, but I feel maybe for some sins that I have done, my Lord is just giving me some things to deal with in this world, just to make up for some sins I've done, so He doesn't have to punish me in the hereafter. I believe my Lord is merciful. I believe my Lord is just, and that's a video for another topic. I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing the feelings. But one thing I'll tell you about pain and healing. Pain. I find pain beautiful because the process of healing is magnificently gorgeous. It's excruciatingly sweet. And I don't believe you can feel that without feeling that pain. You don't know what healing is. You don't know what pleasure is without the process of pain. And I'm not saying go hurt yourself. I'm not saying put yourself in situations where you'll feel miserable and hurt. I'm saying when it does happen, accept it. Accept it and own it and swallow it sip by sip. And I also believe in the art of stoicism. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Stoicism. Stoic. Alright, Stoics. So Stoic, not Stoicism is the actual practice, but Stoics, being a Stoic is practicing it. They believe in accepting what happens. So as a saying, if you think too much of something or worry about something before it's happened, you're putting yourself through it twice, because if it's going to happen anyways, yes, prepare yourself on things you need to prepare yourself, but don't find a matter in your head, because most things we think about, it's easier said than done. Most things we think about that are going to happen don't happen that way. The human brain is wired for survival, and it's wired to think of the worst possible outcome in some cases. But in this world, if you know, you know, and if you've seen it, you've seen it. A couple of years back when I worked for a charity, I was a youth worker. I worked for a charity and I was interviewed by ITV, and it was to do with knife crime. They asked me about it and why I had to basically on the spot tell them why I felt. And it's always stuck with me, even though I made it on the spot, but I always believed it after I said it. They asked me about why youth activities should be funded, and I said knife crime and violence, violence in this world is happening and it's happened, but the most we can do is try to prevent it. If children are busy in an environment like this and get to know each other instead of break each other, I think we can go a long way. And me saying that, unrehearsed, unpracticed, actually clicked something in my brain of that's what I actually believe. And not necessarily about, I do believe, yes, if children are in an environment and getting to know each other, whatever not, but what I mainly believed is in this world it's happened and it's happening, but the most we can do is try to prevent it. And how's that? I think when you change yourself, everyone says, because there's so many, but it starts from one, you know. When you change your mindset, you may think you're one person, but every penny added up equals £1. 100 pennies equal £1. You know, £100 coins equals £100. You know, £1,000 equal £1,000. Am I right? I don't know. I might have waffled. I don't know. So I was thinking about that. That is mad. But you get the picture. It makes a difference. Tesco, man, every little helps. Sorry, that was corny. I was trying to be funny, but you get the picture. You get the picture. You get what I'm trying to say, even though I haven't said it properly. Maybe I have, and I just think, see, that's one thing about humans. They always believe they're less than they are. Our brain. So, for instance, I was reading this article. I can't remember what exactly, but I remember reading something about the best something in the world. I don't know. He was best at something in the world, and he actually believed he wasn't that good. He thought he was average. Something you're really good at, you'll always believe you're average, yet someone else sees your potential, because the human brain, the human themselves think they're below than they actually are. I'm not saying be self-conceited. I'm not saying be... What's that word? When you think you're better than everyone. Arrogant. Yeah, I'm not saying be self-conceited and arrogant, but I am saying, yes, be humble, but I am saying realize your worth and show it to people. Let people know, yes, I know my things. I don't want to swear. For instance, if someone is telling you, if someone is gaslighting you, gaslight, another video for another topic, but if you don't know what it means, Google it. Basically, someone's telling you what you're thinking or what you're doing is not what you're actually thinking or what you're doing. If someone's telling you, you've done this, and they're manipulating you, saying you've done this, and you know you haven't done it, you say, no, I didn't. No, not, oh, I might have. Oh, set boundaries. A video for another topic. Set boundaries. Know your self-worth, because no one will ever respect you until you respect yourself. That's the power. That's the power of being stepped over. I'm actually thinking of writing a book. The power of the unstable mind. And yeah, that's a video for another topic. But yeah, the power of being stepped on, bullied, undervalued, unheard, and pushed away, and whatever not. It's more power than you think. Why? Because you've been through the worst. You've been through everything you possibly think can go wrong. So you've got nothing to fear anymore. So now you know you can only... You know you have the power. You know you can do... You know what's the worst to come. So you're not scared of it anymore. Because the human fears what they don't know. The human... We're scared. It's called the fear of the unknown. When you don't know something, you're scared. When you've been through it and you walked through it like it's your house, it's not scary anymore. But salam, guys. I'll be back.